Moses grew up as a prince of Egypt, and a prince of Egypt was raised to believe that the sun and the moon and all the stars were gods. In fact, if you want to get really deep into Egyptology, the primary god by then it would have been Ra, was believed to have essentially self-pleasured himself, and the fluid secretion, that was what you see as the stars, and they all became gods. Yeah, that's getting deep, isn't it? And here comes this Moses guy and says, no, they're things in the sky. There's the sun, and there's the moon, and there's the stars. God put them all there. That's it. Completely counterculture to everything he would have been taught. In fact, Judaism, based on Genesis, was the only religion on the planet for thousands of years that was a monotheistic religion and believed those things in the sky, they were just put there by God. Wholly countercultural. Completely countercultural. And in the church today, that's where the counterculture lives. It is counter to the world's sexual ethics. It is counter to the way the world raises kids. It is counter to the way the world reflects marriage. It is counter to all of these things. And let's be really honest, the world is pretty alluring. You who cares about monogamy? Go have sex. It's fun. Go do it. We deal with the consequences later. Why have kids? They're a burden. They're an anchor. You can't grow your career. You can't advance in life. You can't do other things. Don't have kids. And here comes God. Here comes Moses. Here comes Jesus. Here comes this belief that says, you know what? Yes, you are sacrificing to a degree. We'll talk about it as the blessings and good, and we'll take joy and we'll delight in the Lord. But you look at the world around you and you see these people and your sin pulling you out into this, like, these people are having fun. They're having wild promiscuity. They're just having fun. It's all about pleasure. It's hedonistic. It feels good at the time. And here comes this religion saying, no, you got to live your life in a particular way. And yes, you look around the world and the world looks awesome. The world looks incredible. But that's temporary. You get eternity. In eternity, you're looking at that thinking, man, why am I here with one hot wife when I can have like a harem and no kids? And essentially, by faith, you acknowledge that your eternity is going to even be more awesome than that. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to be more awesome than that. Just stick with this. You sacrifice now and you gain later. And it'll be in different ways, but it'll be amazing. It's completely countercultural. And in the church right now, what you see is you have families, you have kids, you have large families, you have interracial families. It is completely counter to the world. In fact, there's a trend in the world right now that doesn't want interracial adoption anymore, that thinks interracial adoption is bad. It's the alt-right and the far left have come to agreement. They're very much the same people, and they think that's bad. And there's a trend in this country to put off raising kids until later in life. Your kids are born later, you have a limited family, and the result is that we can't now replace our population because the culture is so anti-having kids, and particularly have kids early. In fact, there's this whole belief now that you should put off kids, build your career, and then have kids. No, actually, have kids early, so that you can enjoy your kids when they get to an adult age. You're not going to be a geriatric like, oh, well, I won't be that old when my kids hit 21 and older. But there's this upside down belief, and the church is countercultural to that. And this now gets into this demographic issue. We're not alone in this. This is a global trend. It's not rich countries or poor countries. It's every country. Births are declining. The United States' global preeminence owes a great deal to demographics. After the collapse and fragmenting of the Soviet Union, the United States became the world's third most populous country, behind the giants China and India. By comparison to other developed countries, the United States maintained unusually high levels of fertility and immigration, a phenomenon I termed American demographic exceptionalism in these pages in 2019. Since the end of the Cold War, the overall American population and its number of working-age people between 20 and 64 has grown more rapidly than those of other developed countries and faster, too, than those of rivals China and Russia. Growing working-age populations boost national productivity and economies run by governments that can successfully develop and tap human resources. For modern welfare states, the slower aging of the population forestalls some of the fiscal burdens built into current arrangements. To the extent that crude demographic trends matter in world affairs, they've been running to the United States' advantage for some time, but big changes are underway. The initial returns from the U.S. 2020 census and the reports about last year's birth totals offered sobering news. With the slowdown of population growth and steady declines in national fertility, the United States now seems to be charting a less optimistic demographic path, one leading to a grayer and less populous, less prosperous future. It's losing its advantage and becoming less exceptional. This is a trend playing out all around the world. Developed and developing countries are seeing declining birth rates. The only group around the world that is defying the trend are people in the church. Yet again, countercultural. It'll yet again be the church that saves society, and no one wants to talk about that angle of it. In fact, to some degree, it's pejorative to even talk about that these days. It's bad. You don't talk about it. Why are those freaks having so many babies? Because they're committed to being fruitful and multiplying, and they're the ones who are going to save the planet. It's ironic. In the great rush of secularism to believe we must save the planet, it's actually the Christian stewards of the planet who are going to be the ones to save it, because they're going to be the ones who continue to reproduce and populate the planet while everyone else has stopped having kids and focused on themselves.